Welcome to Veranda Financing Podcast. Today we have Ryan Stewman of Hardcore Closer. Hi, Ryan.
What's going on, Christine? Thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you on. This is very exciting. We are so happy to have you here. You are excelling at something that a lot of people have a hard time doing. And I just want you to, let our listeners know a little bit more about you and what you do at Hardcore Closer.
Well, I am definitely not one of these people that was an overnight success or born with a silver spoon or anything like that. I have lived a life full of challenges, from adoption to divorce to incarceration and everything in between. And 2008, I stepped out of federal prison. I had been in for about 15 months for a firearms trafficking charge. And that wasn't what I did, but that was the charge we settled for. And did 15 months, got out with about $25 to my name. I lost every dollar I ever had while I was in there. My world came to, complete shambles. So I was one of the poorest people in America at the time. I owned no assets, had zero debt, zero assets, I got nothing. I had $25 in my name. Nowhere to sleep. I ended up staying at a halfway house and later on crashed in an extra bedroom at my parents' house for a few months. And now flash forward, 10 and a half years, I'm one of the wealthiest people in America. Wow. And I don't say that like I got billions or whatever, but definitely top 1%. And I built that on, hard work and authenticity online. I run a company called Break Free Academy, and we help entrepreneurs learn sales funnels, Facebook ads, sales, marketing, life skills, how to cope with the force of average when it attacks you, and everything in between. And we've helped, between our books, our digital products, and our coaching clients, we've helped over 100,000 people in the last 5 years. And, we've built the company to be an 8-figure company. And, because of that, it's provided a private school life for my kids and a very luxurious life for my wife, and nice cars for me and a beautiful house to live in and great employees and wonderful clients. And, it's not always rainbows and sunshine, but when you've been through the hell I've been through and you break through to this side, it sure feels good,
That is an awesome story. After you hear that, there's no excuse for anybody else.
That's our company motto. We say FYE, which is, I don't know if you cuss on your show or not, but it's fuck your excuses, because I should have every excuse to, be homeless or still be on drugs or whatever the case may be. I have a million excuses that I could dig into and justify the means for me to be a failure. But instead, I chose to find reasons to do things instead of excuses why I couldn't do them.
So take me back to that time when you were $25 to your name. What decision did you make what was the biggest decision you made to get from that point to the next step?
You're going to laugh at me. I spent $10 of it on McDonald's across the street. I was so damn hungry and I hadn't eaten it. Like what they call a free world food. And, I figured I'd just get more. I've always been like an abundant thinker when it comes to money. It's like I'll always be able to get more. And it's weird because I never applied for a job before. And I'd either been told, hey, come work for us, or been recruited away. I'd never had to apply for a job. And, now I'm going to apply for a job as I have 2 felonies. So now I'm going to apply for a job as a 2-time felon. And the first place I went to, it's a funny story. I went to this place called Credit Solutions. And dude, this office was amazing. They were at the top of this high rise, and there was everybody was free Red Bull, and they brought you lunch and good benefits, and people were making a lot of money, and there was TVs in every office. Dude, it was over the top. And I wanted that job so bad. I passed the first round interview. They brought me back in, told me I was going to get the job, and they ran my background and didn't hire me. And it was the first time I'd ever been turned down. And there was no amount of selling that I could do because it was a huge company. They were like, we can't risk all that for you. You're out. And so there's no way for me to even close them. And about a year later, I'd be watching the news one night and see that the FBI raided that place and arrested the people who owned it and a lot of the salespeople who worked there. And I couldn't help but think that would have been my third strike working at that company. I might be doing 20 years right now for something I didn't even know.
Oh my gosh.
And because I'd have damn sure been their top salesperson. So that means I would have been responsible for a lot of that business. So it's funny how things work out. but that really did set me back at the time. And so I started a couple of side hustles, like a couple of people that I knew were like, hey, you could do this or do that, but I wasn't really passionate about them. But I had done mortgages prior to that. Before I walked into federal prison, I had almost $1 million. And wife divorced me while I was in there and took most of it. And, you know how that goes. So wasn't really nothing I could do to defend myself until, long story short, I go and I apply for a job at a mortgage company, but this is in 2008. Mortgage companies were folding like laundry.
Yeah,
you know?
I remember.
And people were like, why would you go back to that business? And I'm like, well, everybody's getting out of it. It's probably a good opportunity to get into it. And it was. I went and applied for a job through a friend at the largest privately held mortgage bank in Texas, and got the job after about a 2-hour interview, only because I could show them W-2s from where I used to do it. And had my W-2s been like $150,000, there's no way they would have hired me. But instead it was like $400,000 and $500,000. So they were like, man, we want this guy in here. We'll overlook his past. And so went to work there. Within about 90 days, I was the top producer at that place. And,
wow.
And anybody that may have done more 1 month or the other versus me had a hell of a lot more people on their team. I was a one-man show. And so there would be guys with, 4, 5, 6 people on their team not doing what I was doing just by myself. And I had 15 months to make up for it, and that job was great, and I made good money there. 2010, the president at the time put something into law called the Dodd-Frank Act, which takes mortgage licenses. Part of it was took mortgage licenses from state issued, which is how I got mine, to federally issued. Well, I was still on federal parole, so the Fed said no, and so I'm out of a job. All of a sudden, think about it. It's like go in a millionaire, come out broke as hell, make a bunch of money again, make $300,000 or $400,000 in the mortgage business, then told you can't do that job anymore. I'm like, government, if you don't quit messing with me, like right now, I know that a big sensitive subject's the government shutdown or whatever, and they're missing a couple of paychecks, but due to weird government interference in my life, I've missed a whole bunch of paychecks,
Yeah.
And like the gun charge wasn't even what, I could go into that story forever, but I shouldn't have been in there. Long story short. And so I shouldn't have any felonies. I just was, taking some shit happened that I couldn't control. But regardless, I'm out of a job now. I'm like one of the best dudes in the nation that can't work.
Oh my God.
And a friend of mine, I hit him up. I said, look, I got to have a job or create a business where there's no licensing, there is no boss, and I'm in control of whatever. And one of the guys that I had asked that said, well, why don't you just start an online business and teach loan officers how the hell you did so many loans when you did them? And I thought, well, nobody cares about that. He goes, man, you'd be surprised, dude. There's a lot of people that would like to trade shoes with you. And my thoughts at the time were, well, I'm unemployed. Why would they want to trade shoes with me,
Yeah.
And, but, I had done some, I was hard on myself, but I had done some pretty amazing stuff in that industry at a very difficult time. And so starting all over from scratch, obviously. So long story short, I started teaching loan officers how to use social media to get leads, because that's a lot of where my business came from. Nobody was using Facebook for business in 2009 and 2010, but I was. And so I started teaching these folks. It would be 2011 when I dropped my first course, and I started teaching people how to do all this stuff. And turns out it worked for them too. And, you flash forward 7 years later, and, I'm still here. We got a lot more clients and have had a lot of success. That said, I've had lots of ups and downs in those 7 years. It hadn't been like started that first course, been rich ever since. We didn't turn into a 7-figure company until 2015. So, but it's been a lot of momentum since, for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. There are many
That's what my
times,
therapist says.
Yeah, I'm sure there are many times when the typical person might just quit. You have started making a good salary, good income, top performer in that mortgage company, and then just something just came out of nowhere, that a monkey wrench that you didn't expect, that will bring you back to not having a job or any employment. But what I love about your story is that you never gave up and you were open to new opportunities. Would you talk a little bit about that?
Well, there's a couple of things I think that are really important in that story that the listeners understand. First of all, I put myself and my family and anybody that was associated with me in a position to where if I didn't win, we all lost majorly.
Okay.
And I didn't have a choice. Now, when I go into anything, I always remove the choice. If you give me a choice, I will take the easy path. I have a personal trainer in the gym because if you let me work out on my own, I will do it halfway. I have a personal trainer in there to hold me accountable because there's no getting around him because he's a sadistic bastard. And so the same thing in real life. I put myself in positions to where I give myself no choice but to win or die. You know, Tony Robbins says, burn the ships. If you're going to storm the island, burn the ship so there's no going back. And for me, it was literally win or die. And, you know, in 2014, I had remarried in 2010, I think, 2009 or 10, to a woman that I have on and off probably 20-year relationship with, 15-year relationship with. And we had a kid together and he got divorced in 2014. So as soon as I catch some momentum in my life and think things are good, I have a kid, we work through that, things start growing. And in 2014, we split up and she pretty much, you know, we split up amicably as a divorce can be, and we still get along now, but she took the majority of everything that I had, and I had to start all over again, basically. Now, I already had the business, and she let me keep it, but, I mean, all of our assets, furniture, bank accounts, cars, all that stuff, she kept that stuff and was awarded it in the divorce, and I gave it to her. You know, I could have fought, but, again, it's like, and I've started all over from scratch like a million times at this point. I just give it and move on, and you know, and it turns out that was a pretty fleeting moment, and a moment where I was like, this is the last time that I dip.
Right.
You know, there won't be another government intervention. There won't be another divorce. There won't be another, you know, licensing issue. This will be the last time I dip. And so now I have built about 30 to 35 streams of income that come in every month from
30
just different.
To 35?
Yeah, just I know I'm somewhere around 30. I need to sit down and count them again, but everything from investments to joint ventures to affiliate relationships to the products that we sell to the side hustles that I do. And so, you know, I've got consistently over 30 streams of income coming in every month. So if one of them gets shut down, it's not the end of the world for me. Even if it was my main business, it wouldn't be the end of the world.
We have to talk about this. 30 sources of income.
Yeah, so we've got about 11 digital products, and then we have a mastermind, a coaching program where I have some coaches that coach for me, and then my personal program. Then I flip real estate. I own a software company. I have an investment fund that me and a few friends started where we do loans to businesses that makes us money. I think I said I flip real estate already. I have joint ventures with some really big names out there that I promote some stuff for them and they promote some stuff for me, which pays every month. And I have several of those things like AWeber or lead pages or some of the speakers that I book at events that I get money from, things like that. Then I speak at events myself and make money from the events and the promotions there. And, dude, I'm sure that there's plenty more that I can name. I just am drawing a blank right in a second, but there's a lot of them.
I like that you said that because I've heard an entrepreneur say that you should have 7 forms of income. And even when people hear 7, they're like, whoa, how do you manage 7? And so now when you said 30, and you're talking about the ones that you have, some of them, they don't require as much time, whereas others require more time. Right.
You get to a level, there's 4 levels to business. There is the sales professional, right? Even if you don't work in sales, you're a corporate person, right? You're working for somebody else. Then there's the self-employed, that's the 1 or 2 man show. Then there's the CEO, which is where I've been for a while. And then there's the investor, which is the final level. A lot of people think it's retirement, but it's an investor because then, you know, right now there's lots of things that I have put money into that make me money back that I don't have to work for. For example, I'm not underwriting the loans that we give to those business people. They're just debiting my account and paying me for it. I'm not out there face-to-face with the people who are buying the software. They're just buying it on a recurring basis. And so it doesn't require much attention from me except for the occasional promotion. And and I didn't do that overnight.